This is the iPhone 17, Apple's best iPhone ever. It's better than the iPhone Air and it's better than the 17 Pro. Let me tell you why. This video will cover everything that's new with the iPhone 17 and how it compares to last year's iPhone 16, including display, performance, battery, and camera comparisons. I'll also explain why this is now the best iPhone to buy for the vast majority of people, who it isn't for, and why you should probably stop buying the Pro. Let's start with the design, where actually very little has changed beyond the new colours. I do think the new warmer colour palette looks better with this year's phones, and unlike the Pros, it does come in black. The phone's shape, the camera layout, it all looks very familiar, and with only a very slight change in the phone's size, they're marginally bigger and heavier this year, they essentially feel exactly the same in the hand. I'm personally not complaining at all, and I think this is one of the best looking iPhones ever, especially in this sage green colour. I certainly prefer the look over the new Pro designs. We get a slight durability bump with the new Ceramic Shield Glass 2 for the front display, and that offers 3 times better scratch resistance than the first Ceramic Shield on the 16. Now that the Pros also use aluminium again and not titanium, there's obviously less of a build quality advantage there too. Though in the Pros' defense, they do use tougher glass on the rear panel, and the unibody frame may also help with durability. Plus, the rounded edges do feel a bit nicer. Still, the regular 17 is considerably lighter than the Pro, so I still find it a lot more comfortable and easier to use personally. Where the design does feel noticeably improved from the 16 is with the display. The 17 now has the exact same panel as the 17 Pro, and this comes with a huge number of upgrades. First of all, just look how much slimmer those bezels are. The 17's display is much more visually appealing. It's a slightly larger 6.3 inches as well, which is especially nice now that there's no more plus-sized iPhone. It's a really nice balance of phone size and display area. And the reason the phone doesn't feel all that much bigger in the hand, despite the bigger screen, is because of how much those bezels have been shrunk down. The peak brightness is increased from 2000 up to 3000 nits, and we have the new anti-reflective coating. So the 17 is a lot more readable in bright conditions and has 33% fewer reflections. But the most significant improvement of all, the key feature people have been crying out for, is ProMotion. Yes, the iPhone 17 now finally has a high refresh rate display, and that was previously the main reason people chose to get a Pro instead. Understandably. This was long overdue and is almost certainly going to be the biggest upgrade from the 16 to the 17. In fact, it's going to be the deal-breaker feature for lots of people. I know some people who've only ever used a 60Hz display have said they didn't notice much of a difference. But once you're used to a high refresh rate display and you switch back, it is extremely jarring. It's a shame this video is running at 25 FPS, it's kind of hard to show the difference off fully. But the 17 now feels a lot more smooth and fluid thanks to having ProMotion. Since the display can drop down to just 1 Hz now, it means Apple was also able to bring always-on display to the regular 17. This was previously a Pro-only feature. Some people really value this, others don't care, but it's great to have more options now. With the speakers it was interesting because although they're very similar, I actually find that the 17 is a little bit quieter than the 16. Take a listen to these samples and let me know what you think. As expected, there is a performance boost with the iPhone 17 getting the new A19 chip. Just like last year, there is a Pro A19 chip that's exclusive to the Pro iPhones. And now that the displays are identical, this is arguably the main factor separating the Pros from the base 17. But focusing on the 17 versus the 16, this is how the performance scores stack up against each other. There's a minor improvement with the Geekbench 6 CPU scores, but quite a significant one with the GPU. Around 33% better performance. Checking this with the 3D Mark Solar Bay Extreme tests, you're looking at roughly 4 extra frames per second when gaming, which is quite significant. Just as we saw with the Pro iPhones, on the stress test, which looks at sustained performance over a longer period of time, we actually see that the lowest score for the iPhone 17 is higher than the best score on the iPhone 16. I remember watching the 16 finish this test around 10 minutes slower than the 17. It was crazy. So there is clearly quite a massive performance boost for the new iPhone 17s, and if you're into gaming, you'll see quite a big difference here. Now, for some context, these are the scores versus the iPhone 17 Pro, and obviously it does perform better across the board. The Pros also get 12GB of RAM compared to 8 on the 16 and 17, so they'll be better for multitasking and complex AI tasks. The Pro iPhones are still the best choice if you want the fastest speeds and the best graphics performance as possible from your iPhone. If you know you're going to push your phone to its very limits, then you probably knew you wanted a Pro anyway. These are quite extreme scenarios where you'll notice that extra performance, and it won't affect the vast majority of people. For further context, the iPhone 17 outperforms last year's iPhone 16 Pro, and it's not as though people were looking at those scores and wishing they were far higher. We praised the 16 Pro last year for being super fast and capable, and the regular 17 is even better. I just think it's important to reiterate that point to those people who assume they need a Pro to get a fast and powerful phone. You really don't. The iPhone 17 is more powerful than most people will ever need. And if you aren't going to push your phone to its limits, which under normal typical use no one actually does, then you really won't notice a difference anyway. The best part of what the new A19 chip brings though is efficiency. The battery size itself is slightly bigger too, but it's really the new chip that brings much better battery life. Apple shows an extra 8 hours of battery life with video playback, which would be huge and an even bigger jump than the Pros got. The 17 pretty much matches the 17 Pro now. Battery life is a factor that most people really care about, and is something that will affect everyone. So to have the 17 improve this significantly over the 16 is actually massive, and I feel like this alone will be enough to make a lot of people choose the newer phone instead. Video playback is just one stat though, so I meticulously tested the battery across a wide range of activities to try and get a better sense of the battery performance under realistic use. I used the phones identically, included screen off time as well as camera, phone and social media use, and here's how the battery lives compared. Whilst I'm not sure the improvement is quite as good as Apple suggests, I definitely was seeing the 17 consistently perform better. I performed repeat battery tests to confirm this. I was also impressed with how closely the 17 kept up with the Pro as well. The Pro is slightly better, but not by enough to make it worth buying instead in my opinion. So if battery life is a concern for you, or if you're someone who will keep their phone for a good few years and therefore long-term battery performance is crucial, then there is a big incentive to go for a 17 over a 16. Also, like the Pros, the 17 gets faster charging this year, now with a 40-watt adapter compared to 20. MagSafe charging is slightly faster too. Here are the charging speeds compared, and you can see this does make quite a substantial difference. So the batteries last longer, and they charge up faster. The camera is another key factor for most people, and the 17 gets a new 48-megapixel ultra-wide lens, the same one the Pro iPhones have. The main lens appears to be the same one as on the 16, though new image processing may of course still bring improvements. But confusingly, this isn't the same main lens as is found on the Pros. They're both listed as 48-megapixel fusion cameras, but the 16 and 17 have wider f1.6 apertures, so we know they're not identical to the Pros. I want to start with the front-facing cameras because this is where you'll see the biggest improvement. The 17 gets the new 18-megapixel center stage camera, the same one found on the Pros, and that means higher resolution selfies, center stage for photo and video, and the square sensor lets you hold the phone vertically but record landscape video. Quality differences aside, the new framing options this gives you, being able to expand the frame for group selfies, even automatically, it just makes the phone a lot more versatile. Dual capture is a new feature as well, letting you record from the front and rear cameras simultaneously. I showed this off in the Pro review, and it could be a huge new feature for content creators. I also showed off the new ultra stabilization for front-facing video. It actually makes a huge difference as you can see here, and you'll see this same improvement over any of the previous iPhones. Here is a selfie comparison side by side with the 16. You can clearly see the wider framing with the 17 on the right, but the image quality is better as well. The resolution is better, there's less aggressive sharpening, it's a nice subtle improvement. You just might have to crop in closer to see clearly how much better it is. As for the main camera, the new image processing does indeed give different results for the iPhone 17. The general trend I was seeing was higher contrast, a bit more saturation, and certainly a warmer white balance. The sharpness and detail, dynamic range, those things were typically the same. So of course you could just use a different photographic style on the iPhone 16 to get the exact same results. To me, there's no objective improvement this year, it's really just a difference in image processing. Here's a quick video example as well, just to show that there's no real difference there either. The recording capabilities and features are the same besides dual capture, and as you can see, the footage is extremely similar. The ultra-wide lens is different, and you'd expect the new 48 megapixel lens to bring sharper and more detailed images. By default, these are formatted to 24 megapixels, and I don't think you'll see much of a difference from the iPhone 16. If you go into the settings and enable the maximum resolution, it does improve things, but it's still very, very subtle. Even squinting, you might struggle to tell any difference. So whilst I am glad to have the same high-res ultra-wide as on the Pro iPhones, you shouldn't suddenly expect to get drastically different results. With macro shots, again, no substantial difference at all. You can get some really nicely detailed photos on either phone, but I really couldn't pick any clear winner. As for low light situations, those differences we saw with daytime photos are really lost in darker environments. Whether it's the main or ultra-wide lens, I honestly think you'd struggle to tell the phones apart. There's certainly no clear winner for me, so the 16 matches the 17 for low light performance. So overall, whilst the selfie camera does get a nice upgrade and some cool new features, there's not a whole lot that's changed with the rear cameras. I think for most people, for most situations using the cameras, there's really very little separating the 16 from the 17, and even the 17 from the 17 Pro. It makes sense that Apple refers to the main lenses in the same way despite the difference in hardware, because the results are generally pretty much identical. The 17 matches the Pro in the vast majority of situations. Where the Pro has always had an advantage is with zoomed photography. Having that extra dedicated telephoto lens makes a huge difference. You can not only zoom further, but at a significantly higher quality as well. You can also take nicer portrait-style photos, because the telelens has a better focal length for this. Of course, there are other Pro-only features, like LiDAR for better autofocusing in low light, slow-mo in 4K, and Apple ProRes. But these are mostly geared towards professionals, and the truth is that most Pro users don't end up actually using these things. If you like taking zoomed photos, if you want that telelens for better portrait shots, then there is definitely still a reason to go for a Pro iPhone. But just consider how much you'll really use those, whether you need Apple Log 2 and those truly Pro features, and especially if they're worth spending an extra $300 on. Perhaps the most remarkable thing of all about the iPhone 17 is that it's somehow cheaper than last year's iPhone 16. Well, kind of, it depends how you look at this. It now starts with double the base storage at 256GB. That's something else lots of people will be really pleased to see. But unlike with the 17 Pro, Apple hasn't used the higher storage option pricing here. You're getting double the storage for the same $799 starting price. Along with that, you're getting a really nice group of upgrades that not only improve on the iPhone 16, but close the gap considerably on the Pro models. This is one of the most significant upgrades in iPhone history. Not just what was upgraded, but Apple's decision to finally stop gatekeeping what are now standard smartphone features for their Pro iPhones only. The iPhone 17 now has a Pro-level build and durability, display, battery life, storage, and for the most part, performance and camera as well. Everything but the Pro price tag. I really feel like that Pro Motion display is the final piece of the puzzle that lots of people have been waiting for to finally no longer need to pay extra for the Pro. Don't get me wrong, there is still a group of people for whom the Pro or a Pro Max does make more sense. I'm not saying that it's definitely a waste of money. Maybe you're a professional videographer. Maybe you simply need a huge display, and with no more plus-sized iPhone, it's your only choice. But that group of people has just become significantly smaller, and the iPhone 17 now easily makes the most sense for most people. As I said, it is the best iPhone in the lineup, and possibly even the best iPhone ever. It's not that the Pro isn't better, but price is a factor, and it's not $300 better. This year's baseline iPhone is so good that I'd encourage people with older iPhones who are looking to upgrade to skip past the 15 and 16, even though Apple still sells them at discounted prices, and stretch to a new 17 if you can. There are enough upgrades here to give you a lot for your money, including better longevity, and I know lots of you non-Pro users especially keep your phone for a few years. So that was my look at Apple's iPhone 17. Let me know in the comments if you're going to be upgrading to one this year, and if you're still tempted to go for the Pro instead, why? I'd be genuinely interested to hear what feature sealed the deal for you. If this video was helpful at all, please give it a like to let me know. Hopefully, it's now clearer which iPhone you should be going for. Do also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when new uploads go live. And thank you very much for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next one.